name is Diana and I am going to show you how to draw a silhouette in Adobe Photoshop using the pen tool. Start by opening the image that you want a silhouette from. Rename the background layer. Duplicate that layer. We're going to lock the original layer and take the visualization off. And now you can see that we are working with a nice clean copy layer while preserving the original image. Select the pen tool by going to the Tools palette or by pressing P on your keyboard. Notice how once the pen tool is selected, the top menu changes to show options specific for the pen tool. Since we want to be able to control the size of the silhouette without sacrificing resolution, we will need to draw a vector-based object. To do this, select Shape or make sure that Shape is selected from the drop-down on the options bar. On a side note, as you may know, there are two types of graphics, vector and raster. While raster graphics rely on arrays of colored pixels to compose an image, vector graphics rely on mathematical points and paths to compose an image. Arguably, the most significant difference between vector graphics and raster graphics is that vector graphics can be scaled to any size without sacrificing image quality. Now we will be filling our silhouette with a background color, but for now just make sure the foreground and background colors are in their default form with black in the foreground. If not, pressing the letter D on the keyboard will reset them. One more thing before we get started with drawing the silhouette. In order to avoid frustration, if you are not familiar with using the pen tool, I recommend learning the basics before proceeding with this tutorial. There are several tutorials on using the pen tool that are helpful to get started using this amazing tool. That being said, let's use the pen tool to begin drawing an outline around the person in the image. Don't be afraid to zoom into the image to make your selection more precise. Just so we can see it better. I'm going to go ahead and zoom on that a little bit, okay? You can also activate the hand tool by pressing the spacebar key, and that allows you to pan your image, especially when zooming. Now I'm going to reselect the pen tool. You're going to notice a problem here right away. See, the background color here is dark. It's hard to see what we're tracing. By going up to the Layers palette, we can actually temporarily lower the opacity of the fill to about 50%. It'll make it easier to see the picture we are outlining. Okay, just going to continue to outline our silhouette. The one thing about the pen tool is that it is very forgiving. One thing I did want to show you is alright, I'm not crazy where I put that line, so let's go over here and you can see the plus sign. Click on that to add an anchor point, and if you press on the command key, that changes it to the direct selection, and we can just kind of pull that over and reposition it however we want. By that same token, we can also click on the option key, which turns into the convert anchor point tool, and we can change the directions of the handles, which I guess that's not really where I wanted that handle. Bear with me a second here. I keep tracing our object. Well, I don't want to say object because I guess it is me in the picture. Needs to be moved. Okay. For the sake of time, you could spend hours making a selection with the selection tool or with the pen tool like this. In the interest of time, my main objective was to kind of show you how to make a silhouette. So bear in mind that these lines can be much more perfect given more practice and time. Just wanted to kind of bring that up. Pressing on the command key turns it into the direct selection, and then we can move the anchor points. Okay, we're moving over our object. You can, put as many points as you want, as many anchor points to be as precise as you want. Like I said, for the sake of time and this, being a tutorial on the silhouette, again, with the spacebar key, I'm not going to take, all the time needed to make this a perfect selection. We are almost finished. And again, you can zoom this much closer and get perfect selections. Well, I wouldn't say perfect, but almost perfect. Now, once you get to the point that you started with, you'll see a little circle by the pen tool. When you click on that anchor point, that closes the path. When we're finished doing that, we're going to raise the opacity back to 100%. I'm going to press Command 0 to bring the view back to 100%. The next thing we want to do is copy our selection onto a new layer. You can do that two ways. We're going to go under Layer, New, and Background from Layer is one way. The easiest way, I think, is to do Command or Control J. Make sure that the shape is selected, the one that you want to copy, and do Command J. And as you can see, that copies it into a new layer. At this point now, we can resize and reposition the silhouette with the Free Transform tool. And since our shape is a vector-based object, we can resize it in any way that we want without any loss in resolution. There's our silhouette that you can see. So we're going to go under the Free Transform. You can do that by the drop down under Edit, Free Transform, or like everything else, there's a shortcut. We can do Command or Control T. Now what you want to do is, there's the transform box and the handles around the silhouette. Hold down Shift to constrain the proportion of the shape so it does not distort it while resizing with the corner handles. So I'm going to press down Shift. That will constrain the proportions. The proportions stay the same no matter how much I move it around. Now if I don't press Shift and move it, it skews it, distorts it. So I'm going to go ahead and do Command Z to undo that. You can also move the silhouette around inside the document by clicking anywhere inside the Free Transform box and dragging the shape around with your mouse. Just don't click on the target icon in the center, or you will just move the target icon, not the silhouette. Let's resize that again. Hold down Shift to constrain the proportions. Go ahead and move that up to the upper corner. So as you can see, I have resized our silhouette and moved it around on the document. As you saw in this video, one way to make a silhouette from an image in Photoshop is by using the pen tool. The pen tool enables us to make some pretty accurate selections in our photographs. And like we saw in the silhouette example, we can end up with decent looking lines on vector objects as well. So whether you want to make your own silhouette or practice drawing shapes, try out the pen tool. You never know. Perhaps using this flexible tool may not be as hard as you think. After listening to this tutorial, I do have two questions for you to think about. The first one is, what are raster and vector objects? And what are some differences between raster and vector objects? Thank you for listening to this tutorial.